mental support happens in the so that is what I was telling. How is yoga?
Okay, 3 questions together. Okay, those who did not light the lamps yesterday, please come up to light lamps. Very quick, come up. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas to shine the light of Dharma for all the and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the and mysteries glow. For all the and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow.
10 people can come up to light the lamp.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow.
Those who want to light the lamp, please come up. 10 more.
Beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow.
With folded hands,
I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the good and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma.
With folded hand, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma. I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all deliveries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all deliveries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas.
And you two more left, so and you two can come.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all deliveries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the deliveries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the deliveries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light for all the deliveries.
Okay, please take your seats.
So, sure everybody has this red prayer book. If you don't have it, please raise your hands. The blaze of non-dual bodhicittas. So if you have the prayer book, please turn to page 3. We'll start by setting a proper motivation, which consists of 3 parts, focusing on both what we visualize and how we visualize it. Start by visualizing the refuge field, Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and any enlightened beings you feel close to in the space in front of you. The Bodhicitta field with your 2 kind parents on either side, mother on the left and father on the right. And you are accompanied by all other dear parent sentient beings, and you are leading them in this practice, reminding ourselves of the purpose of the practice to manifest the Buddha nature, the ultimate source of happiness within us. With that we start. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace which is free of aberrations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subduers expound a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. the one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays. To you, the Buddha, I make prostration. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanghe chodak sogi chognanga janjo bhardu dhame kapsuchi dhage jinso gipe sopnam ki drola penche sanghe ruparayasho. Sanghe chodak sogi chognanga janjo bhardu dhame kapsuchi dhage jinso gipe sopnam ki drola penche sanghe ruparayasho. Sanghe chodam sogi chodam la janjo bhardu dhame kapsuchi dhage jinso gipe sopnam ki drola penche sanghe druparayasho. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavadat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavadat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavadat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from the causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite. Such is the nectar-like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into the woods. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of Buddhas of the three times, I pay obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not wash the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered and miseries gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Kindly turn to page 14, Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the four destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With a supreme science, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust-free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the four of falls, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Kindly turn to page 31, Heart Sutra Mantra. Tayatha Om Gate Gate Paravate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha Tayatha Om Gate Gate Paravate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha Tayatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha Tayatha Om Gate Gate Paravate 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 Parasangate Bodhi Swaha.
Then Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe. Chidar Chamo Mena Jinrumna, Lokichi Ramna, Geshe Sange to it, Janamna, Jitanson of Loto Tonga Jones. Oh, she from Baza. Yangaranzo the Hasura. Gewesen Geadico, Senagonia, Mubachim Tebekabia, Law cages and cure some Kapka Mato Yunga, 2 tons of Mato Yunga. The word of Jenshin to Messias. The word of somebody with 2,000 respect, hearing book. Some of men on board, Muna, hearing book, and it the body, hearing bushes as they were resonant. Chidar some of men not children, not logic, not about. Teaching Saget to a Janamna, Casey, Kapka series. Jigan Sunam Roger Tanga Jones, Jidamba Marista, Sunam Gilrote, gave some Kapkabia, Kitchis and Kivis. Or the Indian Araskanga. The put of Chimbukio Toma Mabana South Central South Engi. Gavanyam Chunju. Oh, Tendering Batilia. The what you sing, order. Oh, the Indian Toma Mabana Sabatiba. Sentinel Sabatiba. There is some Tamchete. Mamchava Carlet and Yungorisna, Simjana Sawache, Simjana Nevache. Call a Kivaka to Kivalembe Kaduina, Simjana Tavache. A Tiluzan is sending Bakumo, and you lead a Nagi Koneko, Shana Savala Sobayungardo. Or taking this Uncle Toma Bamana Saturday. Simjana Tenetiba Yunguitus, Diaga, Simjania, and then Sawapani, or Tumijon and Dumare, some Rangi Costum Dicone, Sochivala Sobe Sawapon. Or the other Dembakugri, some Shalia, Chinu, Sochivala Soba. Or the Chambala Seva. Out any Rabjuna. Tagbe Shenche, Chanju Simla Soba, Samba Samba, Chanju Simla Tenet, but Chishude, Top Chishude, Kaduina, Simjania, Chambata Savala Soba, O Tendra, Rimbi and a Tarade, Tagbe Shenche, Chanju, Simjin, Sanji Koma Tovarcha, the Echedoine, or Denji Revolution, Churnyagi, some Gung set on the Samba shoes.
Bodhisattva Deva in this text, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Swift Life, he clearly indicated that accumulating virtues is like being in dark, and once in a while you see a very brief lightning happening. So this is how we are having access to accumulated virtues, whereas for the negativities, what we have is immense, it's very powerful and very strong. It's also almost like every moment we accumulate negative deeds. So the virtue that we have, the truth that arises in us through the blessings of the Buddhas, and the manner in which we accumulate the negative karmas or negative deeds, the very powerful negative deeds, is primarily through having a sense of harming others, harming sentient beings. So here, while being in samsara, for us we have to live without sentient beings. So in the process, we always tend to accumulate negative karmas by having a sense of the harming and perpetrating the ill deeds towards beings through your body, speech, and mind. So now, being aware of this, as indicated by Bodhisattva Deva, just see how much we can refrain from the negativities, such as the bodily negativities, such as killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and so forth. Likewise, the verbal, harsh words, slander, the idle gossip, and so forth. And likewise, mental. And then, say, with the practice of compassion, practice of love and affection, see how we can help others to rescue others, and give the longevity and so forth for others. So then this practice of love and compassion towards others, when enhanced further, we see that it can take the form of the most powerful virtuous mind, which is also referred to as the bodhicitta, the desire, the altruistic intention to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So it is said that cultivating this thought of the altruism is the greatest, the most powerful remedy to cleanse the negativities, for the purification of negativities. The bodhicitta is the most powerful one. So with this intention, the motivation of bodhicitta, let us set ourselves, set our mind of to receive the teaching on dependent origination. The text which we're going to study today is known as the In Praise of Dependent Origination. This is the text which Lama Tsongkhapa, the author, Lama Tsongkhapa, he praised the Buddha Shakyamuni, the Buddha, for having taught this concept of dependent origination, which is the quintessential part of the Dhamma practice. Today, as we learned yesterday, that anything that is a composite phenomena should necessarily come into being by dependence on the causes and conditions, and it's only through the relationship amongst the different causes and conditions that the things come into being. And then there's the fact that the things come into being by dependence on the causes and conditions indicate that there's no one, the single, the factor, single cause or condition which is responsible, which alone by in and of itself will give rise to the result. On the contrary, we clearly see that there are things coming into being by dependence on numerous. There's the numerosity of the causes, conditions, and so forth. Likewise, the numerosity of the paths involved. So, because it involves innumerable number of paths involved, and on the basis of these paths, then the mind impute a sense of the object. So, from this, we see that in dependent origination, the first level of understanding of dependent origination is that things come into being by dependence on causes and conditions. In other words, it is a dependent origination of the causation, one. Then number two, that because of this big fact of the causal dependency, the innumerable factors, innumerable paths involved, which also referred to as the basis of designation, for the mind to designate something on top of these innumerable paths, then comes the concept of dependent origination, of dependency on the paths, or dependency on the imputation. So, for example, we speak about say a house. I see a house there. We are in this house. So this house, actually, we see that it is none other than the composition of innumerable causes and conditions, one. And number two, the fact that it's going to be constituted of these innumerable causes and conditions, we see that they are innumerable parts, like the windows, the ceilings, the floor, the walls, and so forth. So although none of these individual parts is the house per se, but by seeing these parts, then in our thought we get the impression that there is a house there. So it is good enough to say that there's a house there. So this is how our mind imputes the concept of house on the basis of the parts which constitute this house. So we see that it is nothing other than what our mind imputes. Because that the house comes into being by the imputation of the mind, is a clear indication that from the house in and of itself, the house is totally absent. It's all coming by the power of the mind. So here, we should get a sense of discernment that the house is actually independent of the imputation. The house is actually empty of independent existence. It's all coming about by the power of the mind. Reflecting on the concept of dependent origination, somebody who is interested in this reflection and meditation, it is said that if you start with the self, the person, it will be easier to gain the insight into this. Say the self, the I, when you think about this I, when this I comes into our mind, we see that it appears to our mind as so independent there, so objectified there, so solidified there, whereas on the contrary, it is just constituted of the body and the mind. The body, which has various parts, and the mind also, it has the innumerable parts, such as the feelings, then the sense of discrimination, and then the sense of composition factors. And so they are all these the components of the body and the mind. When we see the functionalities, when we see the functionality attached with these parts, then the whole, the self as a whole, is posited to be functioning. So beyond these parts functioning, we cannot really posit the self to be functioning. So we see that the self is nothing other than the parts which constitute the self, nothing other than our mind imputing a sense of self on the basis of the parts, the functioning in these various forms. For example, when your body moves, we see that I'm moving. And when your mind thinks, or when you utter words, we see that I'm talking. So it is only through this, the movement of the physical body, movement of the sound, and the thought processes that we can speak about the person actually operating, or the person in the functionality. So other than this, we see that the self is in actuality, it is empty of independence. So this is how we have to realize the self to be dependent originated, dependently coming to existence, instead of how the self is seen as so concrete, so solidified there while we perceive that in our natural form. So this is how we need to reflect on the coming to realize, coming to the point that there's nothing there as a self which is to be, which really stands by, which is really able to stand by the analysis of the ultimate analysis.
Oh, the Basanje from Dendelia, Dende Sumbecone, Debate, Chodu Juves, Yundation, the Mambu Yorde, Sachambada Savala Soba, and the Mambu Yorde, Gui and the Sumbin Mambu Dena, Dengin Tebarijon, Chutamje, Dengin Tebarijon Reyes, Judy and Midabala Tene, Jebu Yongu Res, Jutabe, Jukaya Yomares, Taban Jura Mevachigi, Jebu Chies Yomares. As and get their corners around Takwa, Soktoba, Mazuton Nashi, Samba Nashi, then by your Mares of Yora. Shenda Mancheva, Tada, Kanga, Tade, Rawa Chipyores, Tia Gores, Tingazu Samba Nashi, then by your res. And if Jesu Kanga, Judy Tariato Shana, Takwa Chilitani Hongore, Yana to Chentaba, Yana Jigan Chivabunda, Takwa Chiki, Yakures of Yora. O Tinde Maris, you can go Medawacha. Medawalateni King Ganga, Jura, the chance matter in Yamara. You didn't get on the Vaki on this round, Rangatsu, you will say Yamara. Raman to Tubasi Yamara. Tisa, Sanjay Chunde David, Sama, Kudan King, attention table, John Reyes on the Tabe, Kudan, after some Abushka, didn't do jet Tamje, Jurochin, the Kudan King, the Kishi in Jurochin, Tremerashi. The Raman to Tuvares, Midavares. Oh, Tenny Jujindi, Yamota letter, Tendesha Wanchane, Kekana Chiles over to me round when you're going to me our race. Any round with our Tombani race. Oh, Tenny, some of that Shanty Tombasi. I couldn't get you by in the Kashi, some of them is on Sobatale after the order, or Teso Yamaris Sunda. Tenji Debra Juma de Namba, Tawa Shikanga Susan of the Kinetsu Kuyora. Shandarachi Jovanashi Mare said a tea kunkekora. Then the Mova Koran cannot kill Neda, Kuna King, Jundan Junganzu, Dilla Shishane, Tito Nekunelu Zene, Neluji Machine and Nemazu, Koa Kor to Manu Chadaki Yoreswara. Shandaji one church, so young as you home Mares. A tea in the Susa, somewhat down, over Nelu Tadan. The Abuja Chonsona, and assembly Juandu, Lungan Juradu, teacher and Yagana, do a liberty Yonku Yorati, where we nearly tension the Evangelon, the Zutone, Nezu de Zene, Tinit Dugan to run the Samutan nation, Tata Dembaredo Rimedo Tane, go Tindetone, and it tension the Evangelon at Tomba Tovena, and it Chagna, Yamosero Kanga Shieta. Congrete, Rangsing as a country mare, Rangsing as a mission mare. Jamare, the mission by the Sheva Sujora. Condor Yeva the Condor Meva Sujora. Rangsing to do a Tabatoya, Yomatanda Karina, Diran Teagora, what in the Maris of the teacher and the Batudo, Taman Richard.
So this text which we are studying, this is what the author Lama Thabkhe wrote in praise of Buddha Shakyamuni. So when he said that the praise of Buddha Shakyamuni, it was while the Buddha Shakyamuni had innumerable qualities. So there's a quality of the body, speech and mind, a quality of compassion and so forth. But the author, he praised the Buddha Shakyamuni, indicating that his quality, the quality of his teaching, the concept of dependent origination, that is the supreme of all the qualities. So in this relation, what the author was indicating was that everything which comes with all the composite phenomena coming to being by dependence on the causes and conditions, they should necessarily be having the nature of the change, because the causes and conditions, they determine what the state is like, and therefore they change as something, which is unwittingly happening. So the dependence on causes and conditions indicates the change or the impermanence. And with this understanding, we have to gain a sense that nothing really comes into being by a permanent source. So some of the people believe that things, the whole universe comes into being by the power of the permanent partless particles. Partless particles as the final cause of the universe, whereas on the contrary, the Buddha is indicating that everything, particularly corpuscle phenomena, they all come into being by dependence on the cosmic conditions, being impermanent nature. In other words, the all corpuscle phenomena, they come into being by dependence on impermanent cosmic conditions. So when something comes into being by dependence on impermanent cosmic conditions, the object per se does not have the power to decide on its own. Instead, that is determined by the cosmic condition, which means that it lacks the independent nature. And likewise, knowing that when the causes under the sway, when you are under the sway of your cosmic conditions in the form of destructive emotions, we see that the only result that we can experience is miseries. So that leads us to understanding of the miseries. And then because the things come into being by the power of the cosmic conditions and by dependence on the parts, we see that the independence or the self nature is being rejected. And then also through this we come to realize that what we are is determined by our constituencies, such as the body and the mind. And the body being impure, we cannot really conceive of a self as very pure, while a body is impure. So the sense of the self to be so pure that is rejected, and the sense of the self being very important, more important than others, that has been rejected. So this is from this we see that if you understand the concept of dependent origination, this is like the source on the basis of which many of the other philosophical insights can be unfolded. So it is said that this concept of the dependent origination, which is nothing but the nature of the reality. So if you discover what the nature of the reality is, as opposed to the self-imposed nature on the reality, so then we see that our misperception can be eradicated. Once misperception is eradicated, once the ignorance pertaining to how we see the reality in a mistaken way, when that is eradicated, then the correct perception comes into being, correct wisdom comes into being. So this correct perception automatically brings about change in your bodily behavior and verbal behavior and so forth. So this is how the understanding of the dependent origination leading to the understanding of emptiness has a tremendous power to cut our afflictive disturbing emotions such as attachment, aversion, and so forth. And for example, say anger. Oftentimes we see anger as something which is so ingrained within us, but in actuality, even this anger is also dependent originated. It is not independently there. Because this anger is dependent originated means that even this anger can be changed by changing the factors, the causes and conditions responsible for giving rise to this anger. When we remove the causal conditions of this anger automatically comes to an end. So this also indicates that even anger, which seems to be so ingrained, can be gotten rid of on the basis of understanding the reality of dependent origination.
I didn't remember the logic. That I'm good, the Sanjay Chumden Delia, Tindy from the corner. There was door temperature, short got
the first stanza. Okay, if we turn to page 99 of the text.
She says sung by a tender temple anime, Java tension table and just station on the she says sung by a rangi, Tabacha, Sambacha, Musum to station. And then Shania rangi chitter silver nation sung by Yesera. Tender Timbalana meva. Timbalana meva, they on the Shalia, Seva connect Timbalana mevas. The Caricon Lana Mevares, Java, Tension table and John Station Tombatellabus. Tension table and John Musum to Sigachane, Timbalana meva. Tension table and John Rangi Chitter Sibanashi, Shalia Rawan to Timbalzeva Imbe, Timbalana mevas. Oh, Tindi Tiliatini, Chatsegi, Kundishu.
The first stanza which reads, he who speaks on the basis of seeing, this makes him a knower and teacher unexcelled. I bow to you, O conqueror referring to the Buddha. you who saw dependent origination and taught it. Here, this is the summary of the praise to the Buddha Shakyamuni. The author indicating that he who speaks on the basis of seeing. So what he was teaching was on the basis of what he actually had the experience. He actually had the insight into this understanding of dependent origination. So what he actually saw, what he actually realized, and having the insight into. So this is what he started to teach. This makes him a knower of the reality of dependent origination, and whatever he knows with such a clarity and vividness, with the full experience of dependent origination, then he started to teach. So this makes him the teacher unexcelled. So this is the teacher to whom I bow to, and I bow to on the basis of his having taught, seen, and having taught the concept of dependent origination.
Oh, that didn't matter. Tension Jabber Junga, Gonet Tube, to send the Gaba Cheshire, but they took it to San Carisena, and they because what else. Koe Zawa Chushe, Tension Jabber Junga, somebody, Koe Zawa Chushe, Koe Zawa Chutum, Chus from the Ares, or the Indus go take on any, the one says, Dinema Geshe Yeshe Jiden Kubachi, but they saw Maritis. Jiberia, she Kondoma, Ye, Trados, Semge, Teletene, Keganachila, Sober, Tumeyo. There's sometimes Jege, Niecha, never sometimes Jege, Sawa de Caresana, Jiden Kubachi, but they saw Maritis. Some down down, social Tada, Shelapa Tada, or the Chimachi, where near to the Timbashi, Machine Bashi, the Killing Dog Joshi, somebody won't be a race of the Jiden Kubachi, but they saw Maritis. Can she told me attend over attention to Johnson's? Tell them Mariba, they get caress and zingers net at Kondushibanation. Naina, round layer, round, something you know. Can she told me attend over? Now the tangent ever John, tons on that, shares on that, the round and I'm ever the shit of grace or that. Can she told me attend over attention to Johnson say? Can she do attention to Johnson? There's a lot of what the teach function.
The second stanza reads, whatever degeneration there are in the world, the root of all these is ignorance. You taught that it is dependent origination, the seeing which will undo this ignorance. So here is the the presentation of what was taught in the first stanza, saying that whatever degenerations there are in the world, all the problems that we go through, such as the problems of the mental agitation, anger, craving, and so forth. All these things, they come into being because of our misrepresentation of the reality, because of the ignorance. This misrepresentation of the reality is known as ignorance. As long as you have this ignorance, all these degenerations, degenerated effects in a mind stream, the problems such as the depression and so forth are bound to arise.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them by attention, Deborah Junior Lams, Chuji Tembe Nani to Chida condition. I think they say a lot of them by China, Tension Deborah Junior, Sanjay Sumba Lamde, and then Sanjay Chumden, Tembe Nimbo, that thing by day, and then come to Chuba Children into the Lord of the Dambachina, come to Chuto Bresumba.
So this ignorance, which misrepresents the reality, is the ignorance which views the self to be so independent and real. On the contrary, if you see that the self is also dependent originated, then the independence of the self is mentally rejected. Once that is rejected, then all the destructive emotions such as attachment, anger, aversion, and so forth will come to an end. Then the third stanza reads, so how can an intelligent person not comprehend that this path of dependent origination is the essential point of your teaching? We come to realize that of all the teachings of the Buddha, the essence, the final, the bedrock of the Buddha's teaching is the teaching of dependent origination. If somebody is very intelligent, very sharp, and very objective in nature, then the person will no doubt come to realize that this teaching on the concept of dependent origination is very much what tallies with, is what very much reflects the reality, the objectivity. So knowing that this is exactly the final objectivity of the things, and the wise, the intelligent people will surely praise the Buddha Shakyamuni on the basis of the Buddhas having taught the dependent origination.
Yulia Dameba de Tongo, attention to the Tusedi, Round Dameba Resam, Sheko Remado, Round the Yudu Majeba, Tamastini, Lolia, you can have to step or something. Karashigabane. Yula Dami Tona is the Saban Baba. Nambile, the Sunjun Mebane, the one numerous. Chinchilo de Samlotandate. Tinashimares, member the machina. Chinchilo Samuda, you to my shepherd, something mares. Tin the Denji Devanjuma Imbe, and Bamba the Sheku, the Songora.
In this relation, the intelligent person, in what way the person should be able to see that dependent origination is the essential point of the Buddha's teaching, is as indicated by understanding that the self, the person, the being or the person is empty of objective existence or empty of independent existence. So if you don't see this reality, and then if you simply refrain your mind from engaging into any action, so that does not tally the meditation on the insight or the wisdom. So this is what is clearly indicated by the Arideva in 400 verses, when he said that it is only by seeing the absence, the emptiness of the selfhood on the basis of the things, that the root of samsara, the root of cyclic existence can be eradicated. Likewise, the Acharya Dharmakirti in his text Pramanavartika, he very clearly indicated that it is only through negating the object as apprehended by the ignorance that the wisdom will dawn in us. So here, this understanding of the objective reality is the understanding of dependent origination. Stanza 4 reads, "This being so, who will find, O Savior, a more wonderful way to praise you than to praise you for having taught this origination through dependence?" So here, one should be able to realize that understanding dependent origination, through which you understand the final reality of the object, this one should get the conviction that this alone has the capacity to eradicate all our problems, all our tension, stress, and the mental fears. So knowing that this is the final part to get rid of all our problems, so anyone who taught this, seeing that the Buddha Shakyamuni taught this concept for our own benefit, to eradicate all our problems, the praising the Buddha Shakyamuni for having taught dependent origination is considered as the best, the supreme of the praise.
송반들의 양산별 내동선이 지시였어. 어디 때문에 되건 되거든. 그래서 강강견라라라. 뭐 간대지네 간다 가이네. 교단 견라라래네 대왕의 라마메 밖에 뭐 유대선 거라 강강견라라. 대대 랑신기 두마르 쮸마 로보르도 쮸베 로보르도 중대게 시리에스. 랑신기 두마르 쮸마 두바레 신다 망부식 교신기 쮸 차셰게 봐. 대신 전에 두고요. 그래서라. 인도가서라. 강강견라라래봐 대대 랑신기 동시. 송반들의 양산별 내동선이 지시였어. 땡진 대벌 중화를 교단견을 때. 차시로 뜻인 전에 노적이 라 뜻인 전에 중화를. 대인데 라마시는 그 말에서 송반들의 양산별 내벌동 수신다 지였어 거라. 땡진 대벌 중화인데 그 자체 탐제 로마 군수리야 자체 탐제 로마 되셔가라. 라마도 좀 말에서 남겨 가지고 여기 면에 여가 삼배 당시 줘라. 담배 때문에 오늘 내유시 내수리 쉐거라. 담배 내고. 땡진 레벨 정말로 자세 좀 진행돼 통돼야돼. 그 자세 좀 된지 여러 손자데 군속 temba세. 자세 좀네. 이나 가서 나와나 신기 temba 주베 여기 면에 매봐서 temba 니가 송도 되어서 지고는 되고다. 어때인데? 대전에는 대대 대방을 대해서 거라.
So stanza, up to stanza 4 is indicating the reason why the Buddha Shakyamuni is being praised for him having taught dependent origination. Now stanza 5 is the actual praise as to exactly what constitutes dependent origination. So stanza 5 reads, whatsoever depends on conditions, that is devoid of intrinsic existence. What excellent instruction can there be more amazing than this proclamation? So here when it says, whatsoever it depends on conditions, knowing that things come into being by depends on the conditions, the causes, the paths, and the imputing mind. On that basis, the functionality can be accounted for. We can see that, oh, this person is working like this person operating this way, on the basis of how the causes and conditions, the paths, and the imputing mind, they operate. So from this, you are able to posit the element of the functionality, how we can, while rejecting objective existence, while rejecting true existence, still we can account for the functionality. So that the constitutes what is known as the conventional reality. A reality which includes the functionality, but which does not exist the way it appears to our mind. So because that it does not exist the way it appears to our mind, then how it exists? There is existence, there's a reality out there which is very different from how we perceive things. So that reality, which is the emptiness of independence, that constitutes the ultimate reality. And then on the other hand, while from the object side, from the independence, there's nothing really there, but things are still operating, things still function, the functionality is still accounted for. So this is functioning on the basis of the subjectivity, on the basis of the mental imputation. So we see that the same object displays two qualities. One is the objective reality, which is the absence of the independence. And on the other hand, while it is empty of the objective reality there, but still it operates, it functions so well. So this functionality turns out to be known as the conventional reality. So the same object is seen to be performing displaying the two truths. So this is something which is so amazing and excellent in instruction, which the Buddha taught. So it says, what excellent instruction can there be more amazing than this proclamation? So this conventional truth, where the functionality is accounted for, where the functionality exists, so this functionality exists not as an independent entity, but as a contrived. It exists, but in the contrived form, yet the functionality is there. So one is the contrived reality, and the other, the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality connoting the absence of independence, absence of objective existence, and the contrived reality is the functionality, also referred to as the conventional truth.
Rawan to Basan Batege, and a Kangayo, the round to the Mares, round to the Mayanaya, and it's all the mayors no mare, Dakshiam Chashet, Chavachebate, and it touches some Tabachedi, Chavachebal do this, Chashi Roma, Chashi, Rangadakshim, Chashi, Chavachebal, Shabu. Lega Sambuching to Yambaching to Shabu. In a lega Ramachi, Namarang use Sambatia, Mera. But he did more naturally, never some of its watching, Tamzing Zimbanashingi, Ramatia, or Mares. The man on the 10 minutes, not there, Mare, Chashi to the Chavachi, take Chavachi Balish Habures, Kitty Lamdo Karina, Ranga Chavachi to Miora. But they did, don't about Kunzu Tempe. Nesute, Nigadi, Sanjay Sumbanashi, down the Nedi, the never saw that in the Sanjay, the Balana Mevada, Semekibures, Tito, Semekibures, the number of the tower, number 2 Dansiore. Somebody Samares, Tilsumbakanga, when it is 2 to Kiomar. Then the Sanjay Sunshava did this on the Timone read with them when they should do that. Timone read it on a Kong Nasu Medicibura, meeting Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe. Oh, the Shepherd Temperatures meet Temper Pandora. Nazo, me, Namjusu Kasan, you said the question, or the Temper question is too loud. Or Tendeti, Tawa Tenlet to the Mare. Then Bachon then there is someone I say, Temperature to touch a share. There's somebody Temper in there, that somebody Meloere, Temper Chores, how to grace and water, or the thing don't do.
So here the concept of the union, of the harmony of the two truths is extremely important. When you see that the self, we see that all our problems, no matter what problems you may come across, they should necessarily be rooted to the misconception of the reality, misconception of the reality, seeing the self to be so independent in the air. So this is the final cause of the downfall of all our problems, downfall of all of us. So the knowing that the self and the things, they do not really exist the way as apprehended by our misconception, you see the reality. So that constitutes that allows us to understand the ultimate reality. Yet on the things, is it that things do not exist the way they appear to our mind? So things, is it the case that things don't exist at all? Then the answer is no, things do exist. Although things don't exist the way they appear to our mind, but still things do exist. Then how can you account for the existence of these things? Is on the basis of how the causes and conditions operate, on the basis of how the parts operate, on the basis of how our imputed mind operates. On that basis, we can see that the self also operates in that same fashion. So we can account for the functionality of the self, while the true existence or the independent existence of the self is rejected. So the functionality side is the conventional truth, and the absence of the self, the way it appears to our self-grasping ignorance or the misconception, it constitutes the ultimate truth. So seeing that the two truths of the same object is in such union and is in such unison and the harmony, this is something which tallies exactly with the reality. This is what constitutes the reality. So it's seeing this, what the Buddha taught, and the reality to square as identically the Buddha is referred to as the supreme of the teachers, the supreme and the ultimate teacher. So in fact this point is so important, where how to see that the Buddha is the very reliable and very standard and the supreme. It should not be on the other way. Usually the people, ordinary people, what they need to do is that anything which is being said by somebody who you love or who you have affinity. So when that person says something, you will not check whether what that person said is true or not. Instead, you will say, "Oh, this must be true because he said it. This must be true because she said it." So on the basis, we see that one is the person who said it, and the other what is said. So what is said is the words or the statements, and the person who said it, there are two things. Of the two, if you try to look to the efficacy of the words, efficacy of the statement on the basis of your affinity to the person, this is the wrong approach. You say that, oh, this statement must be correct because this is said by my friend, this is said by this person, that person, so forth. This is a very wrong approach. Whereas just explore what the Buddha said rather than showing affinity, blind faith to the Buddha, and instead of that, you will first listen to what the Buddha had said and then explore what the Buddha said, and if that really tallies with the reality, then you can say, this statement is so precise, it exactly tallies with the reality, so that whoever said it must be a very reliable person. So this is how we speak about the reliability of the Buddha on the basis of saying the reliability or the efficacy of the words. And it should not be the other way around. Because of affinity to the person, then you try to justify the efficacy of the words. So this is a very important point. Stanza 6, by grasping at it, the childish strengthens others to extreme views. For the wise, this very fact is the doorway to cut free from the net of elaborations. Here, by grasping at it, this pronoun it refers to dependent origination. And say the concept of dependent origination, the same concept is being read by the two different people, one who are more intelligent and the other by the less intelligent people. The less intelligent people, when they see things in the form of dependent origination, let's say the sprout, when seeing the sprout being given rise to by the causes, the conditions, the seeds, the soil, and so forth, so they see the less intelligent people, they will see that the sprout comes to be by dependence on the other factors such as the seed and so forth. So this, instead of helping them to cut the sense of the independent existence, that reinforces them to believe in the independent existence. So they're thinking that, okay, because that this shoot depends on the causes and conditions, so the shoot is arising from its own side or independently. So that for the childish, referring to the less intelligent people, so this concept of dependent origination in fact reinforces the belief in objective or independent existence. Whereas for the wise and intelligent people, when they see the same sprout coming to being by dependence on causes and conditions, they will say, okay, so therefore the sprout is empty of independent existence. So now we see that the same concept, understanding of dependent origination, for the less intelligent people, that concept of dependent origination serves to reinforce the belief in objective and independent existence of things. Then on the contrary, for the wise and the intelligent people, the same concept of dependent origination will help to reinforce the rejection of the independent existence.
어디 누구 homage 가 송반하시. 기시 땡중 리반데 네 땅에 잡아서 됐죠. 그다음 걔는 땡중 내내 그 야게 혼데 기시 땡중 리반데 땅에 잡아서 됐죠. 라문에 깨그랬어요. 딱왜 교육 깨그랬어요. 그래서 다음에 뭐 상마ትን 다 세워져 그래요. 손도. 나서 그냥 시대다를 가서래. 소시를 가서 땡진 제발 좀 아까. 다들 대신 보세요. 땡진 제발 좀 아까. 그다음 걔는 땡진 내내 양종 gen데 해셔라. 땡죠. 그 동반이도 셔. 라문에 동반을 해셔라. 걔네 동반이도 셔. 라문에 동반이나 다 매르베스나 아마르다. 다시 차셔라. 때네 딱발 삼을 여고래서 땡진 제발 좀 아까 땡 동반이도 셔. 때네 때네 다바데 때네 오메라미도스. 라문이 주가 통하나시 이거 마이. 때면은 삼메르가 싸워내 매버버스데 체베타 마이. 때네 다바 삼레 차시로 그랬어. 어떻게 준비시 시고서도 also.
And the Acharya Chandrakirti, in his text, Entry into Middle Way or Madhyamika Avatar, he said that the insight into dependent origination is the gateway to cut, gateway to sever all the distorted views, such as believing in things coming into being by the power of the permanent source or by the power of independent source and so forth. And likewise, in Nagarjuna's text, the Muda Madhyamika Karika, he very clearly indicated that whatever is dependent originated is empty of independent existence. That being mentally designated, this is middle way. So when he said this, he's again rejecting two things. Rejecting, on the one hand, rejecting the independence of things, saying that because the things are dependent originated, their independent is to be rejected, is empty of independent existence. So the first, the rejection of the independence. Then the, let's say, reinforcing the functionality, reinforcing that things exist. If things are empty of independence, if things are empty of objective existence, then is it that things don't exist at all in the first place? Answer is no, things still exist. How they exist? Exist by dependency. So this concept is very important. Seeing that understanding the dependent origination should free you from the misconception of seeing things as objectively real, at the same time allowing you to posit the efficacy of the functionalities. Stanza 7. Since this teaching is not seen elsewhere, you alone are the teacher. Like calling a fox a lion for a tritika, it would be a word of flattery. The point here is this teaching, since this teaching is not seen elsewhere. So this teaching is referring to the teaching of the harmony between the functionality and the emptiness. So where the teaching of the harmony between the emptiness and dependent origination. Seeing that things don't exist the way they appear to a misconception, we see the emptiness. While things are empty of independent existence the way they appear to us, they still function in the form of dependent origination. Then you see the harmony and the harmony between the two things, emptiness and dependent origination. This teaching on the harmony between these two realities is something which the Buddha alone taught, and not by anyone else. So it is for this reason that it says, since this teaching is not seen elsewhere, you alone are the teacher of the ultimate reality. Like calling a fox a lion or a kritika, it will be like a word of flattery. So the contemporary to Buddha Shakyamuni, there were many teachers and who proclaimed to be teaching the ultimate reality, ultimate truth, but in actuality, if you really explore what the ultimate truth is, what they teach and what the ultimate truth, you see them to be dichotomous. It is for this reason that although they claim themselves to be teachers, in actuality they are more like a word of flattery. And then stanza 8, wondrous teacher, wondrous refuge, wondrous speaker, wondrous savior, I pay homage to the teacher who taught well dependent origination. Wondrous teacher, meaning the one who taught this incredibly profound concept of the union of dependent origination and emptiness, and the wondrous refuge, because of him having taught this reality of the harmony between the two truths, one is able to subdue the disturbing emotions within yourself, such as attachment, aversion, and so forth. So this gives you the total peace of the experience, severing all our miserable experiences. And then the wondrous speaker, wondrous savior, I pay homage to that teacher who taught well dependent origination. So seeing that this is a quality, this quality of teaching, the very profound subject of the union of dependent origin emptiness, is something so unique to Buddha. So it is for this reason that the Buddha deserves to be praised for his quality of having taught dependent origination. This stanza 7 and 8 indicates that the Buddha, having taught the concept of dependent origination, that he became the supreme of all the teachers. These stanzas 9 and 10, to help heal sentient beings, benefactor who have taught the peerless reason to ascertain emptiness, are heart of the teaching. This way of dependent origination, those who perceive it as contradictory or as unestablished, how they can comprehend your system. So what is being indicated here is the need to see dependent origination in the proper understanding, so that the essence of what the Buddha taught can be apprehended. So what it indicates here, stanza 9 and 10, is that to help the sentient beings to resolve their problems, it is only through the understanding of the emptiness concept, the one reality, emptiness, to get to this essence of the experience of the emptiness, the reasoning which is to be employed to reinforce this experience of emptiness is the reasoning of dependent origination. It is this reasoning of dependent origination which can fully take one to the understanding of the fun reality emptiness, and the understanding of this the emptiness has the capacity to relieve all beings from the suffering.
Oh yeah, that's it. You could have this or a chance. You could have your game with it. Then you run at your mind, then you never join bases or then you take up, then you never join a day, and then go out on the Madruba, Tony, church in the Chidako to Chuban music. Oh, then you could church in, Ramune Kiva made it, then you never join bases. Then you never join by Ramune, your Marisha. Oh, the Tadilia, number me to Zuyena, and they could then you never join, and the Ramune Trube Chabiora, then get Chabiora. Then you never join, Umata you are negotiating Ramune Kiva made it, then you never join bases. Oh, then you never join, Ramune Yogo, they say. Couldn't kill a ten Korean Toyum Gora, Kora Ramune to Kayum Gora, Rasigora. That Chaban Gavara is Kirata and the Matis Gora. Gavadan in Madruba. You would say, and the Ramune Kiva made the danger never join BHS, Chiru by Shandam Gashigia, to the Man Gashigi, or the Tamadura, danger never join Mare. Guinea chicken chicken somebody, good I can't look to tension never join Mare. Bunch of things about the Tabata and this was at you. Tamadus, tending Mares, that you to the Mamma, which again attention never join the killing of Mara. This was such constitution Tamadure. Nambenga to Suchena, Chavan Galchebre, Chavan Mendure, or to this one, Gavatan in Madruba, Gavatan in Madruba, Gavatan in Madruba, Toma de Church which don't come to Chibanese. Oh, Mamma, shame, my Randina Shandit is okay, and then Sanjay Chumden de Sumbe, Danger Devon Imbe, Ramone Tombade, Chiber come to Chiban Ludi, she took my race.
So here again stanza 10, which reads, this work dependent origination, those who perceive it as contradictory, point number 1, point number 2, or as unestablished, point number 2, how can they comprehend your system? So, say, as we said earlier, the understanding of dependent origination should be the fun analysis or the fun reasoning for somebody to uncover the ultimate reality of emptiness. So there, when the Buddha indicated that things, the sprout for example, or the things, they are actually empty of independence, empty of objective existence, and the reason is that because they are dependent originated. So the reason given to prove the emptiness, that the things are empty of independent existence, is the reasoning of the dependent origination. So when this reasoning is given, then there are two opponents, or the two kinds of people who disagree with this reasoning. One, the teachers who are contemporary to Buddha Shakyamuni, who diverge from the views of Buddha Shakyamuni, they will say that, okay, when you say that the composite things or the sprout, they are empty of objective existence, empty of independent existence, because they are dependent originated, they will say that no, we cannot agree with you that things, objective exist, the composite phenomena, they are not dependent originated. They all exist independently. So therefore they cannot really agree with this reasoning, because they see that this reasoning is something which is unacceptable. One. And then within the Buddhist group, we see that except for the highest, the people who are able to fully understand the emptiness concept, except for them, the rest of the Buddhist philosophers, they say that yes, the sprout, for example, the sprout, it is when you say that it is empty of independent existence, because they exist by dependent origination. When you give the reasoning, they would say that the Buddhist the remaining Buddhist group, the group, will say that, okay, this is something which is contradictory. Yes, the things are actually dependent origination. Because the things are dependent origination, instead of them being empty of independent existence, they should be independent existent. Because by dependence on the factors such as the seed, the water, the soil, and so forth, we see that the sprout is arising from its own side, arising from the object. So for them, this is something. This reasoning is something which is not acceptable for being the reasoning to not really telling the purported intention. Instead, it is being contradictory to what is intended to be established. In other words, what is saying that from their point of view, if things exist in the dependent originated, they should, instead of being empty of independent existence, they should be independent existent. So such people cannot possibly get insight into the ultimate reality as the ultimate purport of the Buddhist Shakyamanis, the philosophy.
That is the Kunin Namshik Tombani, Tinju Dunu Tomana, Kunin Namshik Tombani, Tinju. Ransik in a Tombada, Jazitaba Mingation, etc. Or de Garcia was no Ransik de Tomba, Ransik de Tomba Chorea, Jazitam Jangudesa. And when Mamma Ramuna Tribe Tombaina, only Chavacha to Gumaresa. Jazi Javachingi, what would the truth to Gumares or no? Or the Mares. And Kunin Namshik Tombani, Basura. Kunin Namshik Tombani, Tinju Dintona. Ramuna Tombade. Shana Turjan Delne, John Tanda. Shana Turjan Del de Johade, Ramando Trube, Tomba in Betanda, Tomba Tinjun, Tomba Tando, Chefs on House of Yora. Kunin Namshik Tomba, Tinju to Tonas. Kunin Namshik Tomba, Tinju to Tona. Ransin in Tomba, Chaziteva Megis. Ransiam, Ramando Truba, Ramuni Trube, Tombada, Ina Chashe, Tashita Solitane, Tension Japan Joshi, Chawachi Banidi, Mingewa. Niga Tomba Tinjunta, Tinju Tombetanto, Shato Grace,
Stanza 11. For you, when one sees emptiness in terms of the meaning of dependent origination, then being devoid of intrinsic existence and possessing valid functions do not contradict. So what's being said here is the harmony between the two facts, the emptiness of independent existence and the dependent origination. So the opponents or the realists, who do not understand this ultimate philosophy of the Buddha so well, they, from their point of view, when they see things as dependent originated, they see things as absolute, as the existing in and of itself. Whereas when they see things as empty of independence, they see things as nihilist, as turned towards nihilism. So they cannot see to the conformity between the two facts, the emptiness of objective existence, emptiness of absolute reality, and the dependent origination. Whereas if we understand emptiness in the context of dependent origin, where you see things as empty of independent existence, that should automatically, or that should unwittingly take you to the understanding that things come into being by dependency. And then thinking on the dependent origination should unwittingly take you to the understanding that things are empty of the independent existence. So when this harmony, when one is able to see, get insight into this harmony, then you don't fall into any of the extremes.
That is it. Telling Dobar Tomana, Tommy Chavan Miroshi, Chadan Chavan Tommy, Yaman to Tomashes. Oh, Tomba Tinjun Tombet, the machine by Yena, Thinking Gava Sambutan by Yenase. Oh, Tenikarim was Yana Cheddar from Rode, Yana Tatar from Rode, Yamnawe, Ne, Yana Yoga the Mayor Social. Yana Mavis Yoga Tondoni Iron, Tata, Cheddar, Ramuni to Batana, Tata. Oh, the Ramuni Mena Mavis Tavena, Cheddar from Rode, Yamnawe, Ne, Taxeka Rungi Taran from Rode, State Songoda.
Stanza 12. Whereas when one sees the opposite, since there can be no function in emptiness, nor emptiness in what has functions, one falls into a dreadful abyss you maintain. Okay, as opposed to what the reality is, if you cannot see the conformity between how the two things are compatible, emptiness and dependent origination, when you see emptiness, you cannot accept dependent origination. When you see dependent origination, you don't accept emptiness. Then you are bound to fall into the dreadful abyss. Abyss in terms of abyss connoting the two extremes. When you say emptiness of independent existence, that gives you the impression that nothing exists, which means that you fall into the abyss of the nihilism. Whereas when you say that things are dependent originated, this gives you impression that things exist as absolute, as the objective real. So that makes you to fall into the extreme of absolutism. So this is where you cannot find the conformity or the middle way. Stanza 13. Therefore, in your teaching, seeing dependent origination is hailed, the two not as an utter non-existence, nor as an intrinsic existence. So here, therefore, in your teaching referring to the Buddha's teaching, when one is able to see that the dependent origination so well, this will automatically lead you to understand that the independent existence is to be rejected. So that helps you to avoid the extreme of absolutism. And because of understanding the dependent origination, you are able to account for the functionality. So that way, we see that the utter non-existence or nihilism can be rejected by understanding dependent origination, and the intrinsic existence, extreme of the intrinsic existence, or the absolute existence can be rejected by understanding emptiness. So seeing that you're able to reject the two extremes unwittingly, you then get into the middle way philosophy.
That is
Stanza 14. The non-contingent is like a sky flower, hence there is nothing that is not dependent. If things exist through this self, through their essence, their dependence on causes, conditions for the existence is a contradiction. So this stanza indicates that all phenomena, no matter what, whether permanent phenomena or impermanent phenomena, or composite, non-composite, they all should necessarily share the nature of dependent origination. So dependent origination, as we already understood, that is of two kinds: dependent origination of cause and effect, or in other words, the causation, and the dependent origination of dependency on the parts, dependency on the basis of designation. Of the two levels of dependent origination, all the composite phenomena, they should necessarily qualify both the kinds of dependent origination, whereas for the non-composite phenomena, although the dependency of the causation does not apply to the non-composite phenomena, but the dependency of the dependent origination of dependency on the parts and the viewing mind, that should necessarily be fulfilled there. So it's for this reason, on this basis, one should have insight, one should understand that all phenomena, no matter whether the object is composite or non-composite, should necessarily be dependent originated. On the contrary, if things are not dependent originated, then there's a problem. It says a non-conditioned is like a sky flower. Say sky flower, meaning that if there's the flower is suspended in the air, then it is doing that but not dependent on any other factors. So you won't find any phenomena like a sky flower independent of other factors. Either they should be dependent on causal conditions, or they should be dependent on the parts and the imputation. And hence there is nothing that is not dependent. If things exist through their essence, their dependence on causal conditions for their existence is a contradiction. On the contrary, if you say that things come into being independently, then you cannot account for how things come into being by dependence on the causal conditions. So that becomes contradictory. So stanza 15, therefore, since no phenomena exists other than origination through dependence, no phenomena exists other than being devoid of intrinsic existence, we're taught. So now he is like drawing this summary, indicating that everything falls under the domain of dependent origination. So therefore, everything should necessarily fall under the domain of emptiness, of independent existence.
Ranging Mare Chema Yene, Gyujing Cheshane, Gyujing Gyuto Chinsno, Gyuto Brayana. I think Sang Major Sang Yore, Condus Condu Meva Chai Yore, then the Conductor to Grace on the no the guys order. Oh, done the colors. What in Madison? Ranging the one manager, Ranging to Bayana, could I think Doya Yomar Tagaran, Koranship, and the Jimmy Tashan Teva. Rangshi Chebachan that you say. Rangshi in a question that using the church and travel to Chebachan to the mind was container, Tara and there for another. Sure, I never seen good day, and there's something some gay never done. You and I never into your what into Rangshi the 1 million future and Rangshi Guyana, young and devil, you most say, I need to me say. La so want to never end. Rangshi me change to the conduct of Rangshi Diokore. Qua Rangshi the corpo Grace, or tender. Then remaining young death of the soba. Duran don't never end to rest on the
stanza 15. Stanza 16. Because intrinsic nature cannot be negated if phenomena possess some intrinsic nature, Nirvana would become impossible and elaborations could not be ceased, you taught. So if as opposed to what was taught by the Buddha, that everything is dependent originated, if one asserts that things are independently real, intrinsic reality or independent reality, because intrinsic nature cannot be negated, in which case intrinsic has the connotation that it cannot be changed. If it is intrinsic, it can be changed. If it cannot be changed, then you cannot really negate it from any object. It should be eternally existent with the object. For example, if there is somebody who is short-tempered by nature, short-tempered, then if that becomes intrinsic nature, intrinsic nature means that it should be independent of any other factors, no matter what other factors are there. The nature of being short-tempered should be there. In which case, the person will forever remain short-tempered and forever remain a very angry person and can never be changed. But the reality is that even this, being short-tempered, is also dependent originated. It also comes into being, but depends on the other factors, because the conditions. Knowing that even somebody being short-tempered, somebody being afflicted, so much full of afflictions, knowing that this is also dependent originated, we can rightly analyze, we can rightly explore as what are the causes and factors which are responsible for giving rise to this person to become short-tempered, for this person to become full of afflictions. So knowing what these causes are, then you can work on to eradicate the causes. But the causes eradicated, causes responsible for making somebody short-tempered, or the causes responsible for making somebody full of afflictions. When these causes and conditions are eradicated or removed, then the nature of being short-tempered or being the afflicted automatically disappears. So this is where somebody, even though somebody is very basic, fundamental, and short-tempered and afflicted in nature, even that person can achieve the state of purification, achieve the state of nirvana, state of purification of the mental distortions. So it is for this nature of the reality of dependent origination that somebody who is non-Buddha can become a Buddha. Somebody who is just ordinary, the suffering sentient being, as a being who is free of suffering and so forth. This is all because of the reality of the nature that things are empty of independent existence.
Judang Namju, Sengita, Trabonashi, Kana, Jiba Meba, Bobatan Cheba, Tendition of Sota Buddhesa, Sengita Yanabu, Kebe Soso Lesson, but de la Secoma, Keba Mangu, Young Yandu Sungo, Telia, Keba Nambi, Danda Tembe, Genshu Tungeni, Gochata Gumare, Sota.
Stanza 17. Therefore, who could challenge you? You who proclaimed with lion's roar in the assembly of learned ones, repeatedly, that everything is utterly free of intrinsic nature. The fact that the Buddha taught this concept of dependent origination, which rightly accords with the reality, so it is because that this rightly accords with the reality, it becomes like his teachings. They become like a lion's roar, which frightens the misrepresentations or the teachings which misrepresent the reality. So this teaching, the Buddha, when he proclaimed that in front of all the learned, the wise people, that nobody can really oppose or reject the Buddha's teaching, the teaching in a sensible way.
Companies there. The Ranshin Kaya Mebadam, Delatin in the Namsha Tamsi Tevani, Mege Dua, Meshi Kuyose, De Karshi Versina, Ranshin Chituban Kaya Meba, Delatin in the June, Namsha Tamsi Shatu Brese, Minges and Dua Mexico, Tinin Gamma Mase, Chitu Suk Chik Chene, Shatu Brese. Then Jumé to send you Tardavala meditation. Tinju Sombe, Cheda, Tata Longumare, Moyne to Kayobate, Shatobure, Yobate Maba Chagmare, Maba Yoba Sogmare, Koran Nesuchimashi. Tadavala meditation, listen, then you're going to the Maulana Mebe use. Don't be saying you can take a tiny travel. You have a Mebachi, you have a Tramata, you have a Meba Master, so you never know to somebody. Listen, then you're going to the Maulana Mebe use.
Stanza 18 and 19, indicating the harmony of dependent origination and emptiness, how but understanding of dependent origination will lead you to understand the efficacy of the functionality of the world, and just by understanding the emptiness, one is able to reject the extreme of absolutism. Stanza 18 reads that there is no intrinsic existence at all, and that all functions as this arising independence from that. What New is there to say that these two converge without conflict. Dependent origination and emptiness, instead of being contradictory, they are seen to be converging. They are seen to go in conformity. Stanza 19. It is through the reason of dependent origination that one does not lean towards an extreme. That you have declared this accidentally is the reason, Savior, of your being an honest speaker.
Kundela tene drebu di jungla soba namsha tengere. Toba da tenri nibute, niba nibu penjun do kek mecheba masa, nga mawa sombo sheba na shingi rangune yola mato meba chagri tindre mahimba. Tenri da rangune chube tongba da tenri nibute, penjun kek mecheba masa, chiki chilo draw chigres, kek me bane draw chiban, dile mozar kyoba tan, dile mati chunga, tsuli kyola tonan, Tibet Origination me Sanje Chumden de Yawa, Tendre Tongbe Tonda, Tongba Tendre Gitando, Tini Gawa Meba Masa, Chito Chief Songade, Ona Sanje Chumden de la Tevade, and the Tevalana Meva Rese. Otimaina, Tache Taralo, Resoda.
Stanza 20 and 21 is the summary. The summary talking about the emptiness of intrinsic reality and the reality of dependent origination, and how these two concepts, instead of contradicting each other, they would reinforce each other in terms of the efficacy of each other. So here it reads, all of this is devoid of essence, and from this arises that effect that these two certainties complement each other with no contradiction at all. What is more amazing than this, what is more marvelous than this, if one praises the Buddha in this manner, this is real praise, otherwise not. So indicating that the Buddha is being praised for his having taught the complementarity of the two realities, dependent origination and emptiness. So if somebody praises Buddha in this fashion, this is a very sensible praise. And on this basis, you see the conformity of the two realities.
Tembe chinju mainge shenda to the mount zuge, and it ayo balosoba mombe temple songaye, Kanshi Kuta Shenda Sangelia, Kushetan Kenichigo Mare. They Ranshi me better mesicula sajo, oh Sanje Chumde, Ranshi me, Ramadu me somebody, killing me and Jim Mendoza Kanchu Battle, Mosaya Kayo Mare, there is Guarapora Teda, Chinju Mare, Mesicula Sarchius, Mosaya Kayo, Yansa Kema. Kiki Sungi Chibin to Tenjin Junga Kelana, Sanje Chumden Chinju in Gamma, Dodibana Chitama Semsama Sobatilsura, Sanje Chinju in Sena, Tandaya, and the Tende de Tomba Siva Mare. Kiki Sungi Chibin to Tenjin Junga Kelana, Tumina Romesuba, Tende in the Yin Kelly or the Ramune Tomba Mare, Ramune, Tende Yin Sigura, or Tibet, young Zambushida Race, where a demon to put this on the
Stanza 22 and 23. is what we already mentioned earlier. In terms of those people who disagree with the concept of emptiness or independent existence, which consists of two kinds. One, who totally oppose the Buddha's presentation of emptiness concept, and also the dependent origination concept. Then the other side, which is the Buddhist philosophers, except those who truly understand the emptiness of objective existence or intrinsic reality. So these two categories of the people, the first one who disagrees, who does not really accept the Buddha's teachings, the author is saying that being enslaved by the ignorance. So the fact that they don't accept the concept of dependent origination, the fact that they don't accept the concept of emptiness, and the author says that okay, this is fine. So those people who fiercely opposed you referring to the Buddha, what is so astonishing about they being unable to bear the sound of no intrinsic existence. Say, if you speak of emptiness, they cannot really bear it, they cannot really agree with this. Oh, that's fine, this is something which is understandable. But then what about the followers of Buddha Shakyamuni, who accept the concept of dependent origination, and then when this concept of emptiness is taught, they cannot really tolerate this. This is something which is really the amazing or the astonishing, that we cannot really believe this. Stanza 23. But having accepted dependent origination, referring to the Buddhist philosophers, other than those who understand emptiness, referring to the Prasangika philosophers, the precious treasure of your speech, they're not tolerating the roar of emptiness. This I find amazing indeed.
on Zimba Tedani, Sura, Pajo Namdile to Ben Junga Data Tele, Pajo Namdile to Ben Junga, Tombani, Chudan, Doban, Kedi Kiban Lamsan, the Tabankani, Tiwashase, Sanji Chumbe, Jeba, Sumbe, Anda Belandelia, Taban City, Tiwashat, Numa, Reston, Mama, Joe, Sanji, Temba, Yanda, Chili to Cuba, or number to the Marina.
So here stanza 24 and 25, that finally the quintessential of the Buddha's teaching is the teaching of emptiness of independent existence, teaching on emptiness of intrinsicality. So this teaching, what can help you to get to this understanding is the concept of dependent origination. So the Buddhist philosophers who reject the concept of the emptiness of intrinsicality, so while accepting dependent origination, and at the same time they reject the emptiness of intrinsicality, then what other ways can one see? Can one employ to help these people to reach to the understanding of emptiness, to lead to the freedom from suffering? So it reads 24. The door or the passage that leads to no intrinsic existence, emptiness of intrinsic existence, this unexcelled door of dependent origination, through its name alone, if one grasps that intrinsic existence, now this person who lacks the unraveled entrance to the concept of emptiness, well uttered by the noble ones, by what means should one guide him to the excellent path that pleases you? Excellent path referring to the emptiness of the intrinsicality.
This is like Shajan Maradas. Rangin in the Manesatana, number in the debate commission to some. Oh, and it should come to Tundus around about Tongudoa, now some chance of a method in the Koran when it's so cable, the number method to using when it's so you don't want to take Tongudoa, the Garasana. Oh, Rangin did the Ramin at the Yomare. To Cheshire Mambuchil tells it the Yorde in a Manzu Tendenanga or as Ramuni. The Kumada or as a young man Ramuni Yomare, Manzu Tomana Combe Ramuni over Toga Yorde. The Tona ship you let them by Mare. The Tumakangi, the Ushetana de Tubanashi, using when a man of Garazo Combe, the Tongi or the Chetamji, Kumada would raise when what there is one. Which I shall do.
So maybe we may not do the remaining stanzas, but we'll do stanza 26 and 27, and then we'll stop here. Stanza 26 and 27, and it says that if things don't exist intrinsically, when we look at things, when we perceive things, invariably things appear as intrinsically real. So what is all these things? The perception of the intrinsicality. So the author says that this is very true. The reality is that things are empty of intrinsicality, and on the perception level, things appear as intrinsically real. This is like a magical illusion. While how the magicians, they create the magical illusion of horses and so forth on the basis of the pebbles. What is really there are just the pebbles and the sticks and so forth. And then when the spectators, when they come in contact with the substances like the pebbles and sticks and so forth, to their eyes, the whole perception of the magical illusion arises. So from this we see that there's the discrepancy between the appearance and reality. Appearance-wise, there's magical horses, the horses and so forth appearing, but the reality is just the pebbles and the sticks. So it is because that there's a discrepancy, we describe that as illusion, magical illusion. Likewise, everything is like illusion for the fact that while they are empty of intrinsicality, they invariably appear to exist as objectively real or intrinsically real. So therefore, we have to realize, we have to be aware that things are all illusion-like. Okay, so okay, so we will stop here for more questions, for some questions. Okay, then the mother will decide who to give.
So in these verses where it says that the realist Buddhist schools, they accept dependent origination but not emptiness, can it be actually said then that they actually accept dependent origination? Do they understand dependent origination without understanding emptiness?
So this is a good question. Dependent origination has two connotations, the gross and the subtle. If somebody understands the gross one, that the things come to being by dependence on the cause conditions, so there one understands dependent origination, but the person still does not have the understanding of the subtle dependent origination, for the reason that he does not have that understanding of dependent origination, which has the capacity to precisely reject objective or the intrinsicality. So that understanding of dependent origination, which has the capacity to reject or to negate the subtle intrinsicality, that is known as the understanding of the subtle dependent origination. So that is what is missing, but they do have the understanding dependent origination on the course level. The next question.
On intellectual level, it is easy to understand the teachings.
This
But-
is the
But
of this.
shall I speak?
Yes.
But in the good time also we remember the teaching. But when the tragedy strikes, when the bad time starts, initially we remember the teaching, but after that we tend to forget, even the practice stops. So what to do in that case?
tanda chidam tanda ta chu di chu nyum len che se di marang su da ji tu su sang e kabla tanda nga so ta da ni ma tu chi be su se ri ni ma sang ta tu su sang e kabla i ba na ni chu nyum len che da do jo che da chi yong de ge stu su ta ke ku cha ru chu be kabla ani kali ge le chi ni ji nyum len che be do jo chi ge do pa sa kali ge su su ni gyun de ni nyum len ru te si chi ge be ne de ba chu che de
Adeco Carzura. Un'eccenità come combaciere cese, ne tiene io un con la guardo, ceviti, signameti io to vicino, dinga su combacione da vicino. Tiene todo per tameba, se non più c'è adesso c'è dove ci sono anni, ci danno mine ci sembiace me che c'è sono, tameba resora. Ti mai invece ora ti da guarda se con goda o tende chuna che metti chuna se ma vai un di tu a canga te io se sam chewada nawada ci ne ne con de ora o tende io se gre sam de mi si va ji si sam se tende mara ne o tende io se san na vice sam ma da top de carci so no ci bul ci ho sam je ne so se ne ti va in gora ce ne ko ya ne ando con bacciani ko non vedo va ci so e te ci c'è ora che ma de se mi se ci chiama.
So here, then you are right. There are two situations: when good times and the bad times. So when you are going through the good phase of your life, good times of your life, there it is very important to reflect, reflect and meditate on on the path of the spirituality or whatever philosophy that you are studying, to see whether it has the capacity to overcome the problems and the tragedies when you're actually confronted with, so that while you are in happy times, it's very important for us to reflect on the possibility that any time a tragedy can hit me, anytime any tragedy can hit me. So if this is what you reflect on while you are going through the happy time, and then you will prepare yourself in these reflections of the Dharma, and then this Dharma say that when you go through happy times, the Dharma is okay. When you go through tragedies, then the Dharma disappears, and then which means that our habituation into the Dharma, which is meant to counteract not the happy times but the difficult times, that is very weak. So during the happy times, we have to really reinforce our Dharma practice to make sure that it gains such a momentum and a power to counteract those tragedies when you actually go through the tragedies one time. So there's a Tibetan saying that when the food is okay, when the sunshine is there, then one puts on the facade of a Dharma practitioner. When you confront with the challenges and the tragedies, then you just display as an ordinary person. So this is all because of the lack of the habituation in the Dharma practice.
Yeah, okay, it works. Thank you so much again, Rinpoche and Gerla, for the teaching and the translation. I was looking at, yesterday I was reading this text and I had double marked verse 27, which is the last one that we have read. For the reason that here, normally we say that things are dependently originated, but the mistaken mind takes them as intrinsically existent, right? But here it says, whatever originates dependently, though primordially free of intrinsic existence, appears as if it does intrinsically exist. So, of course, the conclusion is everything is illusion-like. Now, on the third line, it seems as if, okay, there is no intrinsic existence, but they appear from their own side, as if there is some kind of intrinsic appearance. And it seems to put the burden of the mistake on the phenomena rather than on the mind. So I would like to understand if it's a question of translation or if it is a question of content.
And then you should subdue number. Teach tene chumba kara shikine do mane number one terna ways the machine sum se ki terna ways the rashing tomba ina ya rashing to banangi tumos terna ways se the engine number chemina the tradition was the kada inchi you terna ways da the terna ways se na lola the choni mudos Eugene Koran law the Lobe Wangi, Eugene Koran Tube Wangi, Udran should banang to say Chikta, a Udi Rashidubana, Ukraine Gumene, Rashidubanago is Richard Chikitus, get the Ukraine and Rashidu now Slapina, Ukraine Gumene, Rashid Udic and Eugene shall to us.
Mudeka Sora, Ukraine when I run into Tuba, Nagadu, some Sandam to Tandiora. Ukraine when I never saw Metorishnago. Ramshinji Chashe Mamudis Kesam Ramshinji Ramuni Yavanagiwana. Pico Soso Samlo Kondari Chuni Dion being Guaramado. Samlo Combo Mana, you can jam on it to Yamara. You children when in Kashel Ramuna to Banam, Kashel Ramu to Vamana today, Omara. Sanjeda, Taxar never to do, Ramshinji to Vanagi Omara. Kashel Ramshin to Vanagi or the Ramuna race and Shimbi Omara. Kashi Ramu Duvana, National Shindura. Sako, you can get Manina, and Kangar and Nana Kangar Nakumana Kamis Kotimara. So, not to be Kombe Honkata. Tainako, you could ram in Nagadu Sanja.
So, the question is on page stanza 27, where we left. Therefore, whatever originates dependently, though primordially free of intrinsic existence, appears as if it does possess intrinsic existence. So you taught all this to be illusion-like. So as if it does possess intrinsic existence, it is referring to the object, whether it's the misperception happening because of the subjective deception or because of the object appearing as the intrinsicality. If it is the second one, then there must be objectivity there from the object, which is responsible for letting the misperception to see the object as intrinsicality. If that is the case, then we have to accept the intrinsicality, some degree of intrinsicality of the object, this question. So the answer given is the Venerable Geshe Rinpoche. The answer given is that, say, there are three possibilities, just for our information, that say things appear as intrinsic real, and then you believe in it. And for some people, things appear as intrinsic real, but they don't believe in it. And then for some, things don't appear as intrinsic, nor they believe in the intrinsicality of things. There are three modes. For example, so for the Buddhas, things don't appear as intrinsic reality, nor do they approve of the intrinsic reality. And then for the Arhats, meaning those who are already liberated but yet to achieve Buddhahood, for them things appear as intrinsic real, but they don't approve of the intrinsicality because they know that this is just a deception taking place in with my mind. Otherwise, in actuality, there is no intrinsic reality. And then for us ordinary beings, things appear as intrinsic real, and we assent to this mode of appearance, saying that yes, things do exist intrinsically. Okay, so the point is that if there is some objectivity there from the object side, then just as things appear as intrinsic real, if the appearance of intrinsicality is coming from the object, then in all three cases, for the ordinary beings, for the Arhats, and for the Buddhas, for all three beings, it should happen the same, but on the contrary, it is not happening. For some people, things appear intrinsically real, but for others, it does not. So which means that it is not the thing per se from its side appearing. There's a misperception taking place. We getting the feeling that things are having intrinsicality. It is not that the things per se. It's the subjective mind which thinks that the object appears as intrinsically real and the object actually exists as intrinsically real. Okay, maybe the last question. Yes, over there.
Namaste, Rinpoche. My question is that although teaching on emptiness and dependent arising intellectually makes sense, what I also feel is that while in day-to-day life when I encounter difficult situations, it's very difficult to remember these teachings, and even when I do, it seems like since everyone around me don't approve of this understanding of the world and reality, that invalidates my own reasoning at times while I'm practicing in the moment in real life situations. So how does one overcome this denial and fear that one faces of one's own?
Okay, your question is it that, say, in the first place, we don't even remember these teachings at times of the tragedies.
Yes.
Number two, sometimes even if we remember, we cannot apply them in our reality.
Yes.
Number two, and sometimes the surrounding your friends who may not approve,
yes,
or who may not be in line with your thinking,
right.
They may be scornful of your thinking and so forth. So that overwhelms you, that dissuades you.
Right. Even if they are not scornful, for example, praise and criticism, we understand from teaching is that they are just sounds. But when I work in an environment that they are not just sounds for other people, they are actually having some substance which can uplift you or make you down.
They or you?
Them.
Not you.
I mean, eventually then me also.
Okay.
So that's what my question is, that how does one living in such an environment can also practice and have some results?
Very good.
Tilo compassion yungrimado, nam sabta something yomara. The young and Kumjo Cheche, but you long hungry teacher is also very school that you say some of that activities. Ramshin, you could Lengia, not the Rishas, only got to see the Tata Pet. They must come to check
So basically, here this understanding can be thought of in three ways. Understanding derived through learning or intellectual inquiry, and understanding derived through reflection, understanding derived through meditation. Three. So there the Buddha indicated, so whatever you have learned, don't just leave it there through whatever understanding that you got intellectually. Don't just leave it there. The Buddha said that the bhikshus and the wise beings, just as goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting it up and burning gold, you should also examine your words and put them to practice, not simply because you respect me. So this being the case, we are encouraged to reflect more and more, not just leave it on the intellectual level. We have to engage, subject the same understanding to analysis and reflection, to gain conviction in what one has learned. So this reflection, this is so important. With this reflection, then the real conviction builds in oneself. And then with this reflection, then we have to habituate in whatever conviction that we've gained. So this habituation involves, again, three things. One is the mindfulness, and then the introspection, and number three is the conscientiousness. So with mindfulness, you should always remember that, okay, this is what I've learned, this is the conviction that I've gained, and this is the reality, this is the deception, so forth. So with this mindfulness, and you are always in touch with this reflection. And then the number two is the introspection. Introspection makes sure that to keep an eye on your mind whether or not you are keeping in touch with this reflection. So with these two things intact, then the conscientiousness will come to us that, okay, now this is something which I should be actually practicing. So before the unfortunate incident or the bad habits or the demon or whatever, the tragedies, whatever, before it befalls on us, we should be mindful that when such things happen, I should be remembering, I should be able to reinforce my understanding of the dependent notion of emptiness in this context. So that way we see that the three things, the mindfulness, introspection, and the conscientiousness will become very powerful. So only if these three things become powerful, with the mindfulness and the introspection in the air, if one is least interested in building the power of the conscientiousness, again, that we may not be able to actually see that effect is being felt. So to see that effect is being felt after gaining conviction in what we will learn, the intellectually acquired, so there the habituation into conscientiousness, that is so important.
Kumayong disa de ko di loma de kumade su simje ane shuying bere sanjele japs cha shola cha kendule japs su mete ko kumade pachina o tatiri mitel kunjo summa do me ta yasu shi na mo nga sesu sanjele pati so da chere ko kadu samade yungu yamara lama de saba la ko de nyenge yamara tungu ara nagul zugu tai chana saba kabar dosan se te ko kanga cha sare saba yo mara dung kanga sa tan de mas shine saba chamberwa te so ja mara kanga khabo yo ara ti komba chi jung yo mira.
There's a Tibetan story which goes that the guru and the student, the guru always advised the student to practice patience. So once a burglar broke in the house, and the student arrested the burglar and beat him hard 3 times, saying the first beating is that I prostrated to the Buddha. Then he beat the second time and said I prostrated to the Dharma, and the third time said I prostrated to the Sangha, and finally the burglar escaped. So the butler said that I'm so happy, I'm so grateful that there's only 3 jewels. If 4 jewels have been killed by this person. Okay, so the teacher told the student, what happened to the patience which I've been always telling you, which I've been always teaching you to practice. So there, the student could not remember the practice of the patience, and then did the opposite of the patience, beat the butler 3 times, and in the end, when the teacher reminded him of the practice of patience, he reminded that, but it was a little late. Okay, so thank you so much. It is such a great joy for us to have received this teaching from Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche. It is our merit, all of us. For sure, we will pray for the long life of Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, and then we will make more fervent prayers that Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche comes back to Tibet House to give more teachings like this. And okay, so then in the end, as the indication, as a souvenir for all of us from this teaching, we have the malas, the rosaries blessed by Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, and all of us will receive this mala. So first we will say the end prayer, and then we will be in line, in queue, we will receive the mala one by one before we retire. Okay. So let us pray the manner in which we're going to pray, because that this is a rare occasion. Let us pray that the teaching on dependent origination, the teaching on emptiness, the teaching on bodhicitta, the unconditional love of bodhicitta, thrive in all 10 directions in the minds of dear sentient beings, so that the darkness of self-grasp, ignorance, and the darkness of self-centered attitude are eradicated for good. And let us also pray that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, that he lives long and that his wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. And let us also pray that Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, that he lives long and that his wishes be fulfilled to proliferate the Buddha Dharma in all 10 directions in the minds of all sentient beings. And let me, the personally dedicated merits thus gathered, that each one of you, through your concerted effort in revising through whatever we've learned from our teacher, Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, about dependent origination emptiness, that we apply this in our life, and that all the mental defilements are cleansed, and we achieve the state of the fearlessness. And through this, that each one of you are able to become such a reliable guide to lead all dear sentient beings towards ultimate happiness and Buddhahood very soon. And may the teaching of bodhicitta, the unconditional love of bodhicitta, and the teaching of dependent origination emptiness thrive in all 10 directions in the minds of dear sentient beings, present and future. Okay, with that in mind, let's turn to page 278 or 378. Page 278. In the land and circle by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful generous, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as a brave Manjushri and Bhagavad too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication of praise as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform noble bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen and rise and grow, and make that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanjo Sanjo Rinpoche, Magye Panake Gyoroche, Gyabanyamba Mebaya, Kone Kondo Pevaisho. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I truly remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate a merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding Dharma teaching and realization. May I know all lives through the process of this marriage, never separate from the four wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path of renunciation, bodhicitta, birth, rebirth, and two stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I take the man of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the true Jen. I confess negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious blood in my heart. A part of union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained that the thread of both the Dharma and the beings in the snowland. You are the lotus soul that entity also, which the bigger you that you wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of humans and non-humans who have a merit through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be truly vanquished through the power of the truth of the rituals. In all my lives, never separate from perfect gurus, and enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations and the paths, and could attain the state of Vajratara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Ramajishri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of the Tibetan Origination in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay, so what we do is that Benjo is here. Benjo, come. Okay, on the some of the there's some of the Okay, now everyone just come in at the line very quickly. Venerable Kabirji.
Oh yeah, that
come. All come.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Hello. Just
Thank you for the teaching.
Oh yeah, welcome. Yeah. Oh yeah, just to be yeah. That's it. Oh yeah, it's Isha. Just delay should come now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 नमस्कार तो बार अभी आ गया देखा नहीं शुभकामना 2004 दोनों आ गया ठीक है चल रहा है किसी तरह से चल रहा है ठीक है अच्छा टंग मारे टंग मारे oh ya ayah namaskar शुभकामना नमस्कार ya शुभकामना साधु साधु oh ya ayah बाबा तंदा या अभी और आगे चलना है खूब बहुत अच्छा अच्छा नमस्कार शुभकामना नमस्कार शुभकामना
चाहिए पिया take one got it your mother
got it
kuna amla da
oh yeah शुभकामना या चाचा शुभकामना नमस्कार या जुले दस्तले या नमस्कार शुभकामना शुभकामना ठीक है बहुत अच्छा शुभकामना
if not later on
oh I'm a heavy battery. Heavy battery. Long life, Baba.
Thank you, love you, live long.
Oh yeah.
Every day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Shukramna. Namaskar. Cha. Namaskar. Aye. Shukramna. Acha. Yeah. Acha. Shukramna. Oh, that's the land. Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's the land. Oh, nothing more than the number. She was named by a touch of that's the layer. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Come on, money tango. Long life. Oh, yeah.
Consider to let you shoot you.
Down there now.
Not you shoot you get the shoe of John.
Oh, the guy. Oh, that's the layer. And then jealous. And then you're yet out. Okay, I will tell you. Oh, yeah. Namaskar. Oh, yeah. Just the layer. Okay. Oh, yeah. Namaskar. Oh, yeah.
Lada Pumreti.
Lada ina. Lada kanin. Oh, the guy. Oh, dear. Yeah. Julie, look at jealous. Oh, dear. Oh, kanin. Oh, Lada ina. Oh, jealous. Look at Tando loves on Joyda. Teach him Masai. Yeah. Manita, young chicken. Oh, yeah.
The professor is.
Oh, the guy. Oh, बहुत अच्छा लोग कम ना और आगे बढ़ना है लोगों को बहुत टीचिंग ठीक से कर बहुत अच्छा शुक्र आया कैसे चोला कने
रास्ता से
आया देश है ना देश के आया शुक्र रास्ता टेस्ट ले जा माने जो शुक्र ना रास्ता oh yeah, just the yeah, just the yeah, should come now. Oh yeah.
Come bet chim shujare.
Oh, the guy.
Ani tikal chim sugare.
Timzuba.
Timzuba. Oh, working there takes say custom.
Me Arjure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The lesson.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Pemejela nursery. Pepe. Pepe nursery.
Oh, diga. Jale chose samba sambu choro chemune te no kando janga.
Where are you from? La. Under the
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Need so much in the kiss.
Oh, they got
Jawosh novels.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, they got Samba Sanguchi, Cherry, that thing at the Duce. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, July. Oh, I'm jealous to the say. Oh, the guy. Good. Good. That's it.
Come to the end, not you better not to buy a book. Oh, the Machimbo. PhD.
Oh, good.
No, bear.
That's the to show come now. आगे बढ़ेगा.
आपके बहुत सारे लेख हमने पढ़े वो धी का अंक जो आते हैं उसमें आपके लेख और वो जो आपने लामा चंद्रशेखर का अनुवाद किया ने यार बहुत ही सहयोग मिलता है
उसको संस्कृत समझना चाहिए
बहुत अच्छा है शुभकामना है आगे बढ़ना
Tibet from Chini, the Emptiness check, PhD check.
Oh, the God, what you have? Oh, yeah,
to the church. Money I would die. Boy, I'm too much Michelle.
Oh, the guy. आगे और बढ़ना लेना बहुत अच्छा है
Thank you.
हाँ ठीक है ये है
कौन सी दी मी ने बच्चे मी ने बच्चे कैसे दिखे रे दी पे तुम सुनो no
oh काली तरह ना
He cannot see, please bless him.
Oh,
he cannot see, please bless him.
मी तुम दो ले तो शिबाती रेडी रिबो अब शुरू होता तो ना शुरू शुरू तो जिधर चाचिंग
ये चक्षु नहीं तो जान का चक्षु है ठीक है
This to love as you lazy barrel, he turned the charge from the okay, everyone got the rosary. Okay, you know the Quran Robani is Robani the Tana Ramasunsa. Can we know what you want? The Quran Nino.
Oh, yeah.
Minovica. Minovic Kesadi Sandata Puni.
Oh,
Sumda.
कैसे मैं तो सोच रहा सब परिवार शुभकामनाएं हाँ जी oh yeah okay
Yes.